Good afternoon and welcome to the office of Carrington's Estate Agents in Kingston in Southwest London. I'm sitting here with Alex McDonald, who's the sales director.
Hello.
And in this video, we're going to be going through the results of Carrington's first 6 months of adopting a completely different approach to how they win instructions and sell them. And we're going to look at the results, we're going to look at the successes and the failures, so that other agents considering a different approach, especially agents who are suffering at the hands of other overvaluing agents, can start to consider whether or not you want to adopt some of these philosophies and strategies in your business. So this is live. We're live streaming on this sunny day. I think it's, what's the date? Tuesday, the 5th of August. For those of you who haven't been following the story so far, I started talking to Carrington's back in January when they said that they came to me and said, we'd like to talk to you about how we can improve our performance in the face of massive overvaluing, in particular from the likes of Dexter's and Foxtons. I am naming, not them. I'm naming them as London's worst overvaluing agents, because that was leading to the problem of A, not winning much stock because it was impossible to win stock unless you were matching these insane overvaluations, and 2, winning second-hand stock that was still overvalued and proving very difficult to sell. In fact, we have on here that of your previous stuff that you were selling before this process, it was taking you 115 days to exchange after you agreed the deal. Mm-hmm. And that, in the last 6 months, has now dropped to 70-day average. So we've taken 45 days off the average time to exchange from going under offer, which is extraordinary. That's 6 or 7 weeks off deal times, which in itself is amazing. Mm-hmm. Now, in the first 6 months, let me give you some headlines of the results. And this is specifically intended for estate agents to watch this. I know this is public, it's live, but this is intended for agents. In the first 6 months, you've won 27 instructions. So that's basically 1 a week that you've won, adopting this, what I call it is the no valuations approach. So in other words, these sellers have chosen to instruct Carrington's on the basis of their process, not on the basis of any valuation, and no valuations have been given. So this is where sellers are basically accepting the premise that the market determines what you can sell your house for. Nothing and no one else matters. The market doesn't care what an agent values it at. The market doesn't care what the seller wants for the property. The market will pay no more than the best buyer is going to bid. And the Carrington's process, which they've been jumped in the deep end with it in February and have done extraordinarily well in the 6 months since February, has been basically refining that process, isn't it? And you jumped in the deep end like a baptism of fire with this.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
You put your hands up to your existing clients and said, look, we had to overvalue to get your business. We've now decided, because the other thing we had to do is deal with your existing stock levels back at the beginning of the year. I think you had 25 or 26 instructions, but hardly anything was under offer.
Yeah. And
since then, you've basically purged it all, either by getting the sellers to just let you use the process and drop the price and get it sold, or you've disinstructed yourselves basically from those ones. And so now we have this amazing sheet of, this is all the results we're going through are on the spreadsheet, which we've been keeping track of everything. The other big headlines are, am I right in saying that in the last month or two, everything you've been taking on at 1.75% or higher?
Yes.
Plus VAT.
Yeah.
Right. So some stuff is over 2%. And the other major achievement, so these are of the 27 instructions received in the last 6 months, of everything that's gone under offer or exchanged, it was all under offer in 21 days with an average of 17 viewings and 4 offers. Right, so that's everything. That's the 13 properties that are either under offer or that have exchanged that you brought to the market using this process. 17 viewings within the first 2-3 weeks, basically, and then about on average a week handling the offer negotiation process.
Correct. Yeah. And then the percentage as well.
And you've achieved an average of 103% of listing price.
So far, only one property has failed to exceed its entrance price. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So these are, by any standard, extraordinary results. But we were talking about this earlier because I've been talking to other agents about this. And the trouble is that this different approach, this transparent approach, involves, I mean, it changes every aspect of the process from start to finish in terms of the conversations you're having with both sellers and buyers.
Mm-hmm.
Because what's happening now, correct me if I'm wrong, right? This is me listening to you guys and having conversations with you when I see you. You're taking on the instruction with clients who accept that the process excludes a valuation, but includes a launch price calculation process that is very, very detailed, personal, precise to that property to make sure that when you do bring it to the market, you create a market quickly for that property.
Correct. Yeah.
And with an average of 17 viewings for property, that's definitely ticking the box. You're achieving that, right? So what that means is when you've got a new instruction that within 2 weeks has had an average of 17 viewings, what's the highest on there? So 28 viewings. That was on a that sold for 1.4.
Yes.
And the smallest was 4 viewings.
That was on an off-market property.
But you still had 2 offers and sold it off-market.
Yeah. Well, that's how we want it
So
to operate.
that was 5 days from off-market marketing to under offer. So that's the fastest one. But that obviously that's got fewer viewings because you didn't take it to the open market. And that one sold the fastest. So that's, okay, of those 13, that was the only one that sold pre-public launch, right? The only one that sold off-market, was it?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
And of the others, the longest time on market is 40 days to offer agreed. And the shortest is 14 days to offer agreed. Amazing. So the list of things that happens differently as a result of this is extraordinary. So first of all, when you're launching a property at a launch price that attracts viewings and applicants registering, you're now experiencing a much higher volume of inquiries, right? Straight away out of launch. So you're busy qualifying those applicants and then booking them. So it's mostly open houses, right?
Yes.
So you do one open house day and then a follow-up open house day for second viewings?
Yes, we do an open house on the Saturday, and then we encourage people to come back for the following week, Monday through to Friday, Saturday again if they need to, for family, builders, make sure they're making the most informed decision possible.
Okay. And then the week after that, it's tying up offers.
Exactly.
And in all but 1 or 2 cases of the 27, that's happened without fail.
Yes.
So this is the other extraordinary thing, is that the failure rate is close to 0. There's one that's been that we've discussed is a complete failure. And actually you've acknowledged that actually you think you've let the client down on that one, got it wrong and have failed to sell that. Just only 3 viewings.
Yes, 4 now, but 4 viewings overall in a 2 week. It's been on the market for 2 weeks now.
And 1 offer?
Yeah, 1 offer.
But it wasn't, because that was the one that they wanted.
An additional thing on top of the
freehold,
property.
right, okay, So that one we've got to go back and look at. But that was a leasehold property, interestingly. So that's the only actual fail. So if you compare this with the typical experience of agents, even good agents who are being forced to list properties at prices that means they can win instructions from the big overvaluing corporates, you're struggling to get viewings, you're struggling to get offers, and then you're having to have price reduction conversations. And I think I'm right in saying, maybe with 1 or 2 rare exceptions, out of the 27, how many have you had to do price reductions?
I think only 1, which was the other flat, the basement flat, if you remember, Cromwell Court.
Oh, yes.
So we had
another flat. Yeah.
Yes, 1 price reduction, but again, because we went into it with no price expectation, and again, I think this is important. Whilst when we get it right and the averages are showing that the deliverables on most occasions we're getting above entrance level, we are very transparent in as much as you say the market will dictate. And I think what's very important for that part of the process to acknowledge what we did well was that it got its reduction very quickly. After we identified there was no market for it, I think we had the reduction within a 10-day period and then sold it subsequently very quickly after.
Okay. So one price drop, which resulted in a sale.
Yes.
Other than that, no price reductions required. So you're not having to have those reluctant conversations that you're putting off, ringing up sellers and going, "I'm really sorry, can you drop your price?" I mean, that's an amazing, the before and after experience for you guys.
100%. Yeah.
The other thing that I think has been absolutely and by the way, we're going to run through every single one of these results. The other thing that's been remarkable that I don't think any of us expected to begin with was the number of new opportunities that have come up from the increased number of buyers registering with you who have something to sell. So this process is also generating opportunities you would never otherwise have had.
Yeah.
New business opportunities.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, well, notably, we've only just started tracking it. As we said, it's an evolving process. But on the most recent open house on Palace Road, we had 7 opportunities there from 21 viewings. So 1 in 3 applicants that called up had something to sell.
And you've already actually had 3 pitches out of that.
Yes, we converted of those 7 opportunities, 3 into pitches.
So this is my point about this process. When you choose to exclude yourself from the process of valuing properties, you're effectively changing the game completely. You're going, no, we're not going to play that game. We're not going to play the game of which agent can give the most convincing lie about the property's value. And I think that's resulting in your clients trusting you more as well, because nothing you've told them requires any belief. You've got results that back up the process, and and so you're saying this is our process: ABC, viewings, offers, ties up deal. And again, I think this is amazing. So 70 days to exchange is your average now. So that's just over 2 months from offer agreed. And that's the average, including the ones that are in chain, right?
Yes, they include chain properties as well, yeah.
So your average fee's gone up, your average instruction value's gone up, your time on market's come down, your time to exchange has come down.
I think what I would point out at that point as well, that I think couples into this from an agent's perspective, and something that I was taught very early doors in my estate agency journey, was when you go into market appraisals, valuations, pitches, whatever you want to call them, you must win the business. You must leave that property with the keys.
In the old way.
Yeah, from an old director. And if you think about how conflicting and contradicting that is for servicing the client in the best way possible, your job is to win their instruction. So we were told from the very outset, go and tempt them onto the market, quite literally lie to them about the figure, tie them into a contract, then get the price reductions. And I came back in, I said this to you very openly, after a 2-year sabbatical, a year and a bit ago now. I joined back in April last year. And my mentality was, I can beat Dexters at their own game and be better than them. And in the first month, I was the #1 instructed agent in Kingston. So I put my mind to it and I said, I know what they're doing and I can do it better than them. And I won 27 instructions on that 1 month, or 26 instructions, somewhere around that figure. It
Just
was #1
by deliberately
overvaluing, knowing that people would trust me and that I'd deliver that better than Dexter's, so on and so forth. And again, thinking in the old way, stock is king. This will generate what we need. And I don't have the figures to hand, but of those 27, what I can tell you is not one of those properties sold within 3 weeks. I would be surprised if 3 or 4 of those properties ever made it through to actually selling. So we took on the same amount of instructions that we've taken on for this whole year, bearing in mind only 13 have sold, only 4 are currently on the market, the rest are still in the pipeline ready to go, and have categorically made more money from this than that 1 month's worth of, all that did was piss loads of people off.
And wasted a lot of money.
A lot of time, a lot of money. Yeah. So now I think what's really, really key to highlight is you also give them the very thing which you promised them, which is a very, very high level of service, because your time management no longer becomes wasting time. Do you know how many hours I used to spend a week? I factored it into my week for what we call client management.
Price reductions.
That, as well as, and again, because it's not, we weren't just to, just get the production all the time. It was like, just make sure you're communicating with them. Communication is a big part of it. It's so much easier when the communication is, here's what we do on the pitch. If I'm not doing anything at any stage, just disinstruct me. I don't have any client management because I'm booking in 20 viewings. Not one person has come back to me and go, Alex, I'm a bit confused about what this next part of the it's just happiness. So yeah, there's a huge amount of it that's not managing clients and time because you're just delivering on the deliverables that you say you are. And then when we have an issue like Cromwell Court or like Langley Avenue, we're able to sit down and spend a couple of hours really attacking the issue, as opposed to just going like every other agent, well, reduce price.
Yeah.
Reduce it by 10%, might get some interest. Reduce it by 50%, and it's just guesswork and no real strategy behind it.
What would you say has been the change in your stress levels, your work-related stress levels before and after?
Yeah, huge difference. I think it was one of the issues with working for this company before was I felt as one of the directors I could never switch off my mobile. But when we're offering, and the high fees that we're offering, high service levels, people do expect above and beyond. And I take that with a pinch of salt. People have always had my mobile number, but it used to just ring and ring and ring after hours. And it got to the point where that's why I had the sabbatical. My partner was saying to me, like, you're just doing everything. It just feels like you're the office line, and it's just constant. And I go home with my agreed hours at work, and sometimes I'm at home at 5 o'clock, and I don't have panicked calls from colleagues or clients. Or don't get me wrong, I can't make it sound like it's all roses because obviously there's still problems, but it's just not relentless. It was relentless before, and yeah, it's a much better work-life balance now.
And you aren't having to cover your tracks because of bullshit valuations.
No. And now the real failures and what we're discussing is, yeah, we hold our hands up, we got it wrong, but why and how do we rectify it? As opposed to 90% of my board is wrong, and let's just get price reductions and piss everyone off some more.
Yeah. No, it's very exciting. So, okay, let me run through. So, of the 27 instructions that you've won in the 6 months we've been doing this, 13 have either exchanged or are under offer. Is this in date order? Do you remember or not?
No, that's gone in alphabetical order.
Okay.
But those two were actually some of the first, along with this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go through this. So the Farthings, 27 viewings, 5 offers, 23 days tied up. The next one, the Farthings, 19 viewings, 3 offers, 16 days to deal agreed. The Ridings, 28 viewings, 8 offers, 27 days tied up, agreed. Another one of the Ridings, 20 viewings, 2 offers, again 27 days until offer agreed. That's interesting. Those two properties on the same street, similar numbers of viewings, 20 viewings and 28 viewings, but one had 8 offers, one only had 2 offers. It's interesting to see the differences. So Rayburn Avenue, 21 viewings, 6 offers, 14 days. Parkside Crescent, 26 viewings, 6 offers. Sorry.
5 offers.
26 viewings, 5 offers, agreed in 18 days. That's from launch, isn't it? 18 days from launch.
Yeah, from going on the market.
This is amazing. So many other sellers are going to, after 18, 27 days, they're still going to waiting for their first viewing. Another one of the Ridings, 7 viewings only, but still 3 offers, agreed in 29 days. Robin Hood Lane, 10 viewings, 2 offers, 28 days. Bonus Crescent, 16 viewings, 4 offers, 17 days. Robin Hood Lane, 15 viewings, 3 offers, 13 days. That's on market, right? So it was on the open market, agreed in 13 days, under 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Robin Hood Lane, that was the off-market one, 4 viewings. So 4 off-market viewings, 2 offers, 5 days agreed. Manor Drive, 11 viewings, 3 offers, 20 days. Deacon Road, 21 viewings, 6 offers, 40 days. I imagine that once you've got quite a few offers happening, some is a bit of time that's outside your control for the buyers to get themselves proceedable. Because I'd love you to just also talk a little bit to agents about the effect of this process on buyers, because they've expressed surprise, haven't they, at how fast things move?
Yeah, their perception of the normal market and other properties being way overvalued, not knowing where the value is. I think there's 2 parts that are really important to the buyers. Is there's a moment, a truth moment of because I don't doubt, I know firsthand that there are lots of agents out there, and the first questions you get from a lot of buyers is how long has it been on the market, how much interest is there.
Yeah.
So this process allows us to flip that on its head, because I was used to those calls having had a property listed for 4 months.
Yes.
And then you're defensive and you're on the defense, or you're creating little white lies or little pieces of urgency here and there that aren't quite true. And buyers would see through it all the time, because it was really easy for them to do so. If they had no urgency or no need to go and put the offer then and there, they'd call your bluff, speak to you a week later and be like, so it hasn't gone under offer. It hasn't done anything that you said it would. There's no urgency. No one else wants this property. When we get these calls in the first 24, 48, 72 hours, when we know whether or not we've done our job correctly based on how busy the phones are, and people are calling up, well, you're eliminating question number one. So they don't ask how long it's been on the market. They're calling when it's brand new. So they're obviously interested. They do then ask the second question, well, how much interest have you got? Well, and again, depending on the time, we just tell the truth. So first call comes up, we're the very first person to call. By the time I speak to you, I anticipate we'll have these here are our averages, but we just listen to the market. But we'll let you know everything that happens. If it's the 10th person calling in, we tell them you're the 10th person to book in for a viewing. We anticipate. And you're just telling them. And again, people have their own perceptions of estate agents, all of these lies that they've seen through in the past. But at every stage, we're just showing them that we're telling the truth. So when they book in for the open day, as they arrive, they see someone else leave. As they leave themselves, they see someone else arrive. And we say to them, you're here at 10 o'clock, I'm here till 4. Drive around, come back and see me at 4 o'clock, I'll still be here, sweating. And they believe it. And then even if, because I have these objections from owners as well, talking to me about, well, what if they don't believe you, or what if that person doesn't? Well, that's part of their own journey, and I can't force them to. I can only give them reality. We're now finding, as you've seen with a lot of these, the farthings, two instructions, the ridings, 2 instructions. Those that missed out in second or third place on the original offer, the farthings is the best example I can give of that. Objectively speaking, a very nicely done homeowner property versus a landlord rented for years needs more work objectively. The first house that was in better condition sold for less than the second house. Why? Because the second house came on a week later. One of the buyers that missed out on that first house paid more. So you're creating that environment as well, where buyers are seeing what you're saying to be the truth, because the property's just there and then it's gone. And I don't want to waste my time on it anymore. And with respect, Mr. Buyer, I gave you every opportunity that every other buyer had to make the offer.
Yeah.
We do not want to stagnate this market. We want to move it as quickly as possible.
And then a lot of those buyers that miss out are thinking, we want you guys to sell our house.
Yeah, we would like to think so. Obviously, the more that do, the better. But yeah, I would like to think that they're impressed with the process. I appreciate that there's going to be some people that are, well, you're always going to be disappointed. But again, I'd rather be disappointed and know quickly than be mucked around by some agent for 4 to 6 weeks being told lies and, dragged through a journey to not get the property you wanted in the first place.
So I think it'd be interesting to show. I'm just going to, I've folded away the addresses
Yeah,
here, but I'm just going to show this section here to the camera, because I want to run through the snapshot of where we are right now, right? So those colors at the top, there's coming soon. These are instructions that you've been instructed on, and they're in the process of preparing to come to market, part of which is figuring out the launch price. Yeah. You've only got 5 for sale.
Yep.
All those yellow ones are under offer.
Yep.
And all the green ones are completed. Of the 5 that are for sale, so 2 of those, one of them is the flat Langley Avenue, you said that's been a fail, right? Really unusual property, 4-bedroom flat with its own garden, lease in the house. But anyway, and that one we've been discussing about how you want to try and make up to the seller for that failure. And one of them is actually just a fall through. That's a deal fell through and it's come back on. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
So otherwise, you've only got 3 live on the market now.
Yep.
Now, some agents will be worried about that. Only 3 properties. Well, no, because you've got a big pipeline, and you've still got a pipeline of 7 instructions coming to the market.
Yep.
1.5%, 1.75%, 1.75%. That's a weird one. Why is that one so low?
One of the first instructions we agreed.
Okay.
But I actually think, again, I think that might be more. It was just we put it down there as a
Okay.
claim. Oh, it is. Oh, fine. It's less.
1.75. Okay, so that's wrong. Right. 2%, 1.75, and a 1.25. That's a big 7-figure. Oh, that's because it's. Yeah. Okay. But those are your fees now, which are a lot of the old stuff is at 1%. So. What's been, it's funny, when I got here this morning, we were all talking about the fact that even though these sellers all say they've bought into the process that there's no valuation, the market decides, as long as you bring the marketplace will determine. but you said that actually almost all sellers have still secretly got a number in their head.
Yeah.
And in some cases, you end up exceeding that number anyway.
Yep.
Some cases you're not.
Yep.
But they're still going ahead.
Yeah.
But that's really interesting, that psychology, because again, it's a national thing, isn't it? It's just drilled into everyone's heads.
Yeah. I think so much so. It's to the point of almost the same reality of the basis of understanding numbers and math. Like we agree that 1 + 1 = 2. It seems that fundamentally built into them.
Yeah.
And again, we were part of that problem. That's another thing. If you decide to go on this journey and you've been an established agent, you have to hold your hands up and walk into. I've just won an instruction from someone that said to me, but 8 years ago you said it was worth this, and you're saying to me today it could still be worth the same. It could be worth more. It could be worth less. You don't know. But there's no capital growth in 8 years. And I had to say to her that why do you value what I said as though it was a cash offer in your hands? I've just told you I'm lying to you in the same way every other agent was. So it's a really big step that you've got to make, but doable.
Yeah, fantastic. What was the hard? I mean, I remember when we first started discussing this and having this complete change in approach. It was difficult, wasn't it, to get your head around it?
Yeah, it still is. I mean, we're still evolving with the conversations. Like I said to you today, you have a situation where a homeowner hasn't moved in 45 years and they're trying to blindly bid their highest bid on a property that's the first they've seen in almost 5 decades that works for them. And I'm going in and saying, I can't tell you a figure. But it also, on the flip side, as to what you said, it sort of raises the urgency.
Yeah.
This is the only reality and only journey I can take you on. Do you want to discover the market value?
Yeah. So Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, who could also be a seller, the fastest way to find out is jump on with us, and within 3 weeks we'll probably have your property under offer, and then you know exactly where you are.
Yes.
Rather than plucking a figure out of the air now, making an offer that's dependent on a sale that may or may not happen.
Yeah.
Uncertainty for everyone around. They might miss out on this property, but it's going to motivate them to be ready for the next one.
Yeah.
It's fascinating, absolutely fascinating. But so the only feedback I've had from other agents I've spoken to about this is, Charlie, you don't understand how difficult it is when you're sitting in someone's living room. They want a number. That's what they say. Agency said to me, this sounds great. These results sound great, but you don't understand, Charlie, when you're in the living room, it's just not that easy. Now, my response to that is, I know, but the old way is harder than this way.
Yeah.
This may not be easy, but it's not as hard as going back to the old way and trying to keep a business growing on the back of basically a pack of lies the whole time.
Yeah.
So that's what I'd love you to put in your own words is, this might be difficult, but how many more times worth it is it? And actually, when you compare the difficulties of this process with the difficulties of the old way, which is easier?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think for us, the biggest worry or concern right off the bat was our perception of, look at all of the 26 properties we had on the market, or look at all of these fees that we're going to lose by telling them to go away or to try this new process. And the reality is, as you pointed out to us, is you're spending money on them now. They're not just a fee you're losing out on, but you are hemorrhaging money into these people. So I think the only thing that I would say to those agents is, you've already named some of the competition that we have around here. If I look at the nature and the process in which they have set up, because don't get it twisted, they do have a process. They have a business process set up, these companies. And they are very successful business owners. The people who own these businesses are doing incredibly well. The businesses are thriving. But when you read between the lines and you look at the success rate of the completions and actually moving the market, which is the primary job, it's atrocious. But their machine and their process is set up to operate on mass numbers and to facilitate and be able to basically have all of these clients under some form of management, communicated to, and have 5, 6, 7, 8 negotiators calling out constantly and servicing them to a certain degree. A perception of, oh, I'm busy because all these people are working for me. If you do not have an office where you have the capability to compete against those biggest agents, where you have 8 negotiators, 3 managers, 2 directors, all of these people at your disposal, but you are going in and operating on the same level playing field that they want you, which is overvaluing, which they can service better than you if you have a smaller team, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
You won't be in business.
And so you guys, am I right in saying you guys are pretty busy now, right?
Yeah.
It's you're pretty constantly busy to the point where you're having to schedule the launches.
Well, this is the thing. To come back to your earlier point about other agents that would be worried about you only have 3 or 4 properties on. I mean, when we discover and we look at this process, that's one question we ask: how many can we service at one time to this highest level? And we've all sat down between us and said 2 at the moment is our limit between the 4 of us. Because other agents might look at that and go, "You've only got 4 properties on." I can guarantee you, comparing to what I made the comparison to last time, an agent that has 25 to 30 overvalued properties on, we have taken more registrations and inquiries than they would have for those 30 properties.
So you're much busier on much less stock.
Yeah,
because you're selling almost everything.
And it allows you to actually do what you say you're going to do with the clients. All of this, we register all of our buyers and we actually filter through. I've worked on the other end. You don't properly qualify any of the buyers that you take around. You're just grateful for reviewing on most of the time on waste of time clients. Whereas this way, the thing you're not seeing there is we might have had 28 inquiries for the ridings, is also the number of people that would have been turned away as part of that process, that were either too late to the party or weren't in a good enough position. All of these factors. So you want the phone ringing as much as possible.
I sit here watching what you guys are doing, looking how happy your customers are, looking at these figures, right? Your deal times are shrinking, your fees are going up, your success rate is above 95% currently of what's instructed, right? Above 95% success ratio, which is the best I've ever seen. There's an agent in Scotland who's at 100%, but there's a different process there. Now, the previous best I've ever seen is 92% consistently, right? You're now at the best success rate I've ever seen in an estate agency. I still can't persuade other estate agents that this is worthwhile.
They're lost.
It's extraordinary. And the only thing that I can think of is it just blows their mind because it changes every single conversation you're having. Has to basically be turned upside down.
Yeah, it does. But
you're not having to persuade people to view. You are challenging buyers to go, are you actually a qualified buyer? You are being able to say, we've got 7 offers.
Yeah.
Honestly say it. And not have to worry about whether they're seeing, because you're going to sell it. So you don't need to worry about convincing a buyer that doesn't believe you. If they don't believe you, they don't believe you, right? You aren't having to do any price reduction phone calls. And when you do have a fall through, occasionally, you're usually, you've had a couple of fall throughs, but you've turned them around and sold them anyway quickly, haven't you?
Yeah.
Because you tend to have a waiting list of buyers. You've got an applicant box of people that you know because they've offered on other stuff. These are serious buyers that you didn't have 6 months ago. I mean, there are literally no downsides or drawbacks that I can think of to this process compared to the other way of doing agency.
The only one is what you've said, which is just the mentality of the appraiser going in there and the valuer. And all I can say to you guys is I get it. It's hard. I've been doing it for 10 years. I've gone into hundreds of properties. What I would say is just flip it into a positive, which is surely you guys were the same as me in terms of you must have questioned yourself. What is my USP? What is our branches? What is mine and my staff's USP? Because I used to walk into and I just didn't know. I didn't have a clear. I
you didn't have one. That's why.
I've actually said that. It's just it really annoyed me because you see successful cultures and it comes from culture and process. And as you say, if I'm not in the office, and we always felt we have incredibly talented individuals here. We always have. We wouldn't have survived as a business if we didn't. And I think there's many other agents out there. But you are fighting a process and a beast which is designed to just stamp all of you out and overvalue and eradicate you. Their own business model is designed to get rid of competition. And if you can't use that as a USP in the fact, I found it exciting because that's what you said to me, Charlie, was when you go in there and you say to them, we're not valuing, you will get shock responses. And that's exactly what it was. And you don't get me wrong, you get people doubling down 10, 11 times. I don't understand. Like, I need to have no, I refuse to give it to you. And it's quite an entertaining conversation. And if that doesn't at least brighten up your day and give you, and the other thing that Charlie mentioned to us 2 months ago, which is probably my favorite thing to do in the job now, is walking away from people. Just walking out of their door. Just be like, you don't get it. And that's absolutely fine. We're not the right agent for you. Because people, they have not experienced that ever in their life. Ever. Every agent is coming around and begging them for business. I'm just going, this just won't work out. And it allows us to do exactly that. And I think that's where we were marrying up the conversations earlier. We still have this perception, which I think the agents will agree with us more, in that every single vendor carries this figure around, whether they bring it to light or it's there in the back, and you have that speed bump at some point. Your job is to try and bring it forward to light as quickly as possible, but also to make sure that they are, as you say, listening to, they can't argue with, if we deliver you 20 viewings, 4 proceedable offers, just set them goals, because no other agent is doing it. Ask them, the other agents that you're competing against, when do they say you'll be under offer? When, give me the timeline of events. And again, I think the biggest thing for us to debunk it all was, we just hold us to account. If you want another USP that really makes this work for you, is just don't have a contract. There is no need for a contract. The contract is there to protect you as an agent from overvaluing or someone else coming in and stick. Just make it easy. Just say to people, we won't tie you into a 12-week contract.
Well, that brings me on to the final, I think, the sort of the cherry on the icing on this cake is the results. Because the results can't be argued with.
Yeah.
And no matter who you're up against, you're now delivering better success rate, better results than any of your competitors. Which is why you're not getting pushback on fees. It's because you actually have a USP, right? You literally have a USP.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do come up against a seller who goes, well, what about this agent? Well, do they have these results? Because nothing else matters other than the results. Are they selling this percentage of their instructions in this time for over listing launch price? If so, go to them. If not,
yeah,
it's Carrington's or nobody.
Yeah, and I think the more we speak objective truths as opposed to our opinion, again, don't let old habits slip back into it where you're sort of attacking your competition or making the suggestion to your vendor that they shouldn't use your competition. Just give them the facts. Like you said to us before, and know your competition. If their selling rate is 50%, just say, I don't know whether or not you'd sell with them. 50% of the time on average, you might. 50. That's a flip of a coin. That's your decision to make. All I can give you is my deliverables at 90%, 80%, whatever you can demonstrate. And then you're not even saying to them they won't do the job. You're saying, I don't know. Based on their stats, I don't know. In the same way, you're protected on your own stock because you're also saying, I don't know, but our process delivers deliverables.
I think those are three of the most powerful words in the conversation. I don't know means I'm not committing to something that I can't back up, and I'm also not lying to you.
Yeah.
And yeah, well, look, this is fantastic. Is there anything else you'd like to add for any agents watching this who are looking at these results going, this sounds like a load of absolute cobblers, can't believe it's true?
I guess in the same way you made it relevant to us is for just switching the whole stock is king idea. If you right now, without consequence, looking at your board of instructions and properties you have on the market, if you don't think you have a deal that goes into your pipe and will be wrapped up by the end of the week, just imagine all those properties disappeared, but you had one on that would. Which position is better for you? That simply.
Yeah.
And if the answer is you had one on with one seller that listened to you, 19 other people, you went into 20 appraisals and 19 people turned you away or weren't quite right, but one said, yeah, I trust you implicitly, you'd be better off than you would probably, because that's the truthful answer that a lot of your agents aren't accepting, is those three words, I don't know. If I came into your office right now and said, what of this stock sells and how quickly, your truthful answer will be, I don't know. It's the only answer it can be, because you don't have a set process.
So let's wrap this up by asking you this question that's on the screen there. Does transparency pay?
I believe so, yeah. Yeah.
It's definitely working for you guys, isn't it?
Yeah.
Being transparent with everyone, with the sellers, with the buyers, it's comfortable too, isn't it? You're not having so many lies.
You don't get caught out in lies. Morally, you don't feel in it, and it's just you're only dealing in objective truths. It's just you're a facilitator. You are the oil of the working machine, just trying to smooth the process along. And for the love of God, stop giving your opinions, because 90% of the time they're wrong. Just stop giving any opinion on anything. Every opinion to every buyer and every vendor is different. So just remain objective.
Well, you know the old saying, don't you? Opinions are like arseholes. Everyone's got one. Guys, thank you very much. Thanks everyone for watching. And if you want to find out more, there are a couple more videos about this on the BestAgent YouTube channel. If you think any of this is made up or not true, and you just can't believe it sounds too good to be true and you're an agent, don't call me, call these guys, right? But I'm very happy to talk to any agent who wants to talk to you about this. Otherwise, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. And make sure you've got your BestAgent account opened up so you're not missing out on your seller leads. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Hoi.